Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Tech Tips. So for this week, we're going to be covering one of the newer commands that'll come with this release, and that is the line-based blocking. So just as a preliminary step, we've now updated all of our families to include section shapes, and this is particularly going to be of importance with the line-based blocking and the cutbacks. So if you are dealing with light gauge, your section shape should have an accurate description of what the profile is. And if you're dealing with lumber, it should say rectangular. So all of our families have now been updated with these section shapes. But if you are working in an existing project and these are listed as not defined, simple enough. Just have to reload that family in, override the parameters, and that section shape will update. So again, just of importance to the line-based blocking, which is what we're going to cover today. So for those of you who are familiar with creating marker lines to create whole series in your panel, we now have that option for blocking. If I go ahead and place my marker line, I'll just do a simple one at the midpoint of the panel. I now have the option to assign a different blocking type. And when I go to manage, I've got my different configuration options. So I do have one already ready-made. So this is simply just some 2x6 blocking. You choose the family type. Doesn't necessarily have to be a blocking member. You can select a different member designation, have this act as furring or diagonal bracing, and you can select the line style. Because this isn't exclusively a horizontal, like when you run it through the panel's properties, you will just have to rotate it, in this case 90 degrees, to create some blocking. And then I'm just able to adjust my vertical and lateral justification to make sure it's going to hit middle center on my line. There are other options here which were previously available in the horizontals command. You can insert clips, punch holes, and in this case I am able to create a staggered blocking line. I'm just going to have it split at my vertical studs with a 1-inch stagger. And if I did have an opening in here that I wanted to consider, I could also select my opening members. Other option that we have now in this blocking is that you could essentially force where you want your blocking to end along that line. So you can force it to extend to the line. You could have it stop at the nearest intersecting member. And if it extends and your line stops in the middle of a bay, you could have it extend to the closest member. So I'll select force end of line for now. And where that section shape that I mentioned at the beginning really comes in handy is in these cutback settings. So this is, again, something that we've added to give you a lot of control and where you can choose your cutbacks. So if I just look at my rectangular option down here, I can extend it to plane 1, have it completely extend through my studs here. It'll be my furthest cutback, but a typical cutback would be plane 3, have it stop short on either side of the member. So for dimensional lumber, it is fairly simple, but with any kind of light gauge options, you will have different plane options depending on if it's hitting the hard side or the open side of the member. I'm going to update my current blocking configuration, and I'll assign this blocking. So as those of you who've used the tool before, a quick regen, and that'll populate the line with your new blocking. there's anything that you do want to adjust, maybe these end cutbacks, for example, I can always grab the line, select properties, and I'm able to go back and manage my configurations here. So because we were choosing the option to force to the end of the line, that's just simply why I'm getting this cutback here at the ends of my panel. So I'm just going to have it stop at the nearest intersecting member, update that, and again, a quick regen will fix that problem. So this has just been a fairly quick overview on how to create some line-based blocking.